Welcome to the Recruitment Founders Podcast, the place to kickstart your journey to running a successful recruitment business. In each episode, you'll get knowledge, tips, and real-life stories to help you take your business from startup to whatever you want it to be. At Recruitment Founders Club, we'll show you how to follow a proven path to success, tap into a network of top-notch mentors, and join a community that thrives on collaboration and shared wins. You run the business, and we make sure you succeed.
Cool. Okay. RFC podcast.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Another episode.
New venue. Like this venue.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Proper villa pub.
Yeah.
Right.
Villa podcast gets recorded here as well. We've made it.
Yeah. Biggest club in the Midlands, mate.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
Yeah. 5 mile.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
Gonna win a trophy.
We've got a guest as well. You're a Villa fan as well.
Grew up down the road.
Yeah.
Villa fan.
Here he is.
Andy Baird. Welcome to the
Thank
pod.
you.
You're a Villa fan, aren't you?
I am. Was Everton for a few years, then when we moved up here, my granddad converted me.
How did you change teams? That's rare.
Yeah, well, look, we picked Everton because it was the day of the Liverpool-Wimbledon final, and everyone supported Liverpool at the time because they were the best team. So we want a different team. Who were Liverpool's rivals, Everton. So this is when I was living near Brighton, so a long time ago. I was 8.
Okay, that was the logic.
Yeah, and then we moved up here. My granddad was in my ear all the time.
He's like, I ain't having
should
that.
be supporting Villa. Yeah. So converted around 11, 12.
Choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congrats.
30 years ago I was at Wembley this weekend. I was sharing that with my boys.
Yeah. 1996. Savo Milosevic, absolute screamer.
Screamer. Ian Taylor though as well.
Yeah.
Favourite ever player.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's not a bit of podcast, right?
So, welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
We've all got history, haven't we? We all know each other really well.
A very long time now.
Yeah, probably 2004.
Yeah.
2004. I started as a trainee in recruitment 2003. You joined shortly after 2000. Man, that's a long time ago, isn't it? 22 years. Wow. I've known you for 22 years.
I know. It's gone really fast.
When did you come along? 2006?
2006, 7.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So it would have been around then. Yeah, I think I
In the new office,
I
it was.
graduated in 2007. So it was that year.
Yeah.
I graduated. I in fact I started with the business before I'd officially graduated.
Yeah.
Got hired on a predictive grade and a decent presentation.
I promise.
That's it.
Yeah. Crazy, and it's such low basics on it, but the commission, man.
Low basics, high commission. It's what you live for,
Was it
right?
rollover and double rollover? Was that knocking about?
Yeah, that was knocking
rollover,
about.
double
Yeah.
rollover, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's all about the commission, wasn't it? I mean, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But
And I did my first deal in the Netherlands,
yeah.
which is ironically.
Oh, of course, Rotterdam, oil and gas.
That was it, yeah.
Ironic where I live now, yeah.
So I remember
Just
you
up the
joining.
road.
You came out like you both did actually. You came out of the blocks quickly. You did, and you were up and running, billing.
It took me 6 months, to be fair, because I came in.
You became the manager's favourite quite quickly. I remember that. I found that mildly irritating at the time.
Not intentionally. It took me about 6-7 months, I think. I remember not even nearly going for the final interview. I was told. So to give you the backstory, my best friend worked for the same company in London. He referred me to the Birmingham office under the feedback. It's a little bit wild in that office, but you'll be fine. So I had the first interview, went all right. You got the kind of feedback which was, yeah, you've done okay. You were never getting told you've done really well in those days. So I remember going for the final interview and I was told this was going to be brutal. And so I remember walking, is it St Martin Square, Birmingham, where the town hall is?
Yeah, same right, yeah.
And I had a massive imposter syndrome hijack. Right, you can't do this. This job's not right for you. You're going to fail. So I remember walking around
Because
that
they
fountain.
built up the brutality of the final.
Oh, yeah, and I was just
you got in
thinking-
your own head.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm never going to do. This isn't for me. I'm going to go back to media sales, to the comfort blanket of media sales. I managed to pull myself together after about 10 laps of that fountain. I think went for the interview, and I did really well. I remember one of the interviewers in that interview went to my mate and said, "Your mate did amazing in that interview. He's going to be brilliant." So I remember before I joined, I was ringing my mate Ben. And I have to give him a lot of credit. And one of the themes, we're going to talk about my book in a bit, one of the themes I touch on the book is this notion of interconnected collaboration, how that you're never where you are just because of your own results or your own performance, whatever. Other people have a say in that through whether it's mentoring. Yeah. And he was a guy at uni that was always beating me at FIFA, GoldenEye, was better than me at football, everything. But what he was, and this is what we're going to talk about in a bit as well with the environment, he was someone that drove me on. Yeah. So he really was someone on my journey that I wouldn't have been in recruitment without him, without meeting him. I remember ringing him, going, well, how do I do well at this job? And he said, well, based on the feedback, you're going to be fine. So for 6 months, I was crap. And I remember I was crap because I really enjoyed the phone bit of it, and that was a great part. I remember after 2 hours thinking this is an amazing place to be. So it was totally the right decision. But I was not very good at the admin parts, didn't send marketing out when it was really the thing that generated a lot of business. So the stuff that, the more boring stuff.
Marketing, you mean mass mail shots?
Mass mail shots, computer open there.
Carpet bags.
That's the most PC term.
But they weren't right.
I'm going to spam the life out
I
of
never
it.
used to do them. I had like limiting beliefs that people wouldn't want to open them and stuff. So anyway, first 6 months. Then there was a couple of interventions. We all have wise interventions in our career. There was a couple of wise interventions from upper leadership. And after that, it went quite well. For a couple of years, and then
you did like a 350 grand a year or something, didn't you? That was big back then. I was like, wow.
The one I like to use now, because all the contract billers always say to me, well, 6k deals, that ain't worth nothing. It was 46 deals, so that's what I like to say to them, because I'd speak to them in the office and go, well, what argument have you got? I did 46 deals, So, but I think it was about 300, 350, So it was all right. It was pretty successful.
You got to senior con before me. That was a pivotal
You talk
moment.
about this, don't you?
Like,
it woke you up.
That moment, So, you talk about nobody gets to where they are just off their own merits and what they've done. You actually played a big part in me, like, getting my shit together, basically. Because I was frankly a bit of an idiot before you got senior con. I was at S3 loving the work, the play hard side of the work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
And I was doing all right, billing okay as a consultant, but didn't really have any sort of ambition other than to go out and get in the pub.
Yeah.
And then you turned up and just come out the blocks, billed 350 grand, got to senior con. I'd been there a year before you. And it was all about, there was a big bravado thing about promotions, wasn't there? It was about earn as much money as you can, get promoted, climb the ladder. And it was that sort of environment where you could be your boss's boss. At any point you could overtake them based upon, it was just that really great environment where you were judged on your own performance. That moment you got promoted to senior, I remember going home that night and I was just like, man, what am I doing? My career here, what am I doing? And from that moment on, my career went like that.
Well, that's how he talks about that, Ben, in many respects. Like, he's kicked you on a level.
Like a role model. Yeah, but you play it back to you though. You were a big role model for me. Your sales skills were exceptional, and one thing you're right. You worked hard and played hard. You had the periods where you absolutely smashing it, and then the play hard kind of kicked in for a couple of months.
Oh, so you get the big paychecks.
It's a bit of a rock, you were a bit like that.
And then the month later, you're on John Sarni's.
You were selfless, not selfish. You were always helping out with loads of my deals wouldn't have happened without you stepping in and helping. So I've always appreciated you telling that story, because I think
we should be sitting close together. I'm feeling the love. You're in the way.
Well, it's going to end after this, isn't it?
We're going to have to separate you in a minute.
No, but I think it was an amazing time. We drove each other on, didn't we? In the right way. It was amazing.
Management careers were good side by side as well, weren't they? The competitive nature of that.
Well, you see, that's when you overtook me though. So that's when I had to then look. You were really flying the management side, and deservedly so. And I'd had this is where I started to encounter more difficulties. So the sales part in the end came quite, not easy, but I could control my own destiny to that point. If I needed to dig out performance.
Gig, isn't it?
I came into it when you two were both quite early in that career, because I remember coming into it, and it was never anything aimed at you, but it was like, our team have got to beat his team.
Yeah, you were the same.
Totally.
And I remember that.
That was the goal, wasn't it?
Because in that office there was the IT team and whatnot. They weren't going to compete with us at the time. It was just us two having it off, and I remember that. And it wasn't like going after. Yeah, we've got to sink that team. It was just that competition, and I remember
great competition, wasn't it?
I remember
really
you got a couple of top billers or big billers, and I was like, right, I'm going to smash them.
You did most of the time. I think if we dug the records out, I think you guys probably took us out more times than we did you.
So good times, man.
Yeah, they were. But I think looking back on that, as I said, you were a real role model around that. What that did do partly for me, which I then found a bit more challenging later on, it conditioned me a little bit in the wrong way, because I was too busy. What recruitment did for me, it took someone who was quite happily to live in a comfort zone and got me out of that. And showed me what you can do with ambition, with hard work, with setting goals, and being a relentless driving force. I remember one time someone said, all that mattered to me was hitting the Vegas target, And it was pretty true. I was working I'd been there once. I'd sampled the amazing experiences. I just thought, that's what I want to do again. So I was just relentless in trying to hit it. And you do get conditioned a bit in the other way to go, well, it's money equals success equals happiness.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't then start going your way, because there are things outside of your control, leadership being a great example, you can lose a client, a few people can leave because of reasons outside of your control, then it becomes more challenging. And when you're basing part of your happiness on, am I getting promoted? Am I beating jocks and the sales guys? That gets quite difficult. And
it's quite hollow as well.
Yeah, it is.
I've talked about this with you several times. Like when I left uni and I got into recruitment, I set myself 3 targets, and I used to cringe. I had a probably 10-year period in my life where I cringe about these. Right, So my first target was I wanted to earn 100 grand in a year. Right. Second target was I wanted to buy an Aston Martin. And then the third target was I wanted to earn £1 million before I was 30. Right. And I did my first target, I think, in my second year in recruitment.
Yeah.
And then the Aston Martin, I was about 4 or 5 years into my career, 25, 26, and I could have bought one, second hand albeit, right? But I didn't.
Aston Martin.
I didn't. And it was that sort of like quite early in my career, right? Well, money.
Yeah, you grew up fast in the recruitment.
Money got me into it. I'm never going to be ashamed about that. Money got me into it because I'd come from a family we didn't really have much, and I was as skint as most students are post uni. So, but then when I got to, I got to a certain age where I was a bit like, money's not really. I need it, and I'm still really motivated to get it. Because it gives you something, but that materialistic sort of thing just didn't float my boat anymore. And I don't know whether that made me a worse recruiter or a better one. I'm unsure. Still haven't quite landed on that.
Well, better. But you grew up faster than most people in that environment. We all get there in the end, I think, where we move away from that. We're going to talk about this. Yeah. And you become more, what am I doing this for? And kind of what's the purpose? And what am I giving back?
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I think a lot of it comes with age. You become a better person. But you grew up really fast in that environment. That's why you legged it after 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this, like where those big businesses, they really struggle with that. What was it, senior principal consultant and stuff like that. I felt I was a bit. It sounds a bit arrogant, but I don't mean it this way. I was a bit peerless at the time, quite early in my career, because I looked at you guys. You're in a level above me.
We've fast tracked into leadership.
You're in leadership role, right? And I look up to you, and I'd hang on every word you got to say, but then take the non-leadership, into the non-leadership route where I was.
That wasn't a great deal there, was it?
No.
It didn't exist.
It didn't exist. And I was kind of like, well, Ibiza trip's great, Vegas trip's great, S3 Achiever's great, all things I'd never done in my life before. Do you know what I mean? But then when you've done them, you've done them. And it was a kind of, quite a hollow sort of thing for me. And I think that's where, and I know you've got probably much more value to add to this conversation, but I think more modern day, larger recruitment businesses, their culture has surely got to have progressed a lot. It's got to be different because I think
the nature of the people they're bringing in is
exactly, and modern culture's different. I don't think you are going to get. I'm sure. I mean, you can answer this, but surely you're going to get people that are really money motivated. But I don't think it's the same type of profile on mass that we were recruiting back then. What were your sort of observations on that?
I think a few things I would say to your point around. I did exactly the same. I had 3 things. So I had pay off my student debt, I had buy an apartment, and I had go and watch cricket in Australia. So these were 3 very materialistically orientated things, right? So
more sensible than my Aston Martin.
A bit more sensible. I wasn't a car guy. I was happy with a Mini Cooper. I was just happy driving that round. I didn't go for the Porsche. So I wasn't really a car guy, but I could see the value in wanting to strive for the car. I think when you're that age, it's what we talked about. It's what you're conditioned to strive for, and all the movies at the time are illustrating this. And we have evolved, and I think there's a concept that I talk about in the book called the Great Western Disease, which is something I learned from Marshall Goldsmith, who's one of the kind of the heroes that I feature in the book. And he talks about it's this culture of I'll be happy when. So I'll be happy when I've got my Ferrari. Yeah. But actually, statistically in the Western world, people then go, well, I've got a Ferrari now I want a private aircraft. And you see that showing up in the business world.
Yeah.
And I think the point that you make around people showing up now for something different, there are people I've worked with in the last few years that have been incredibly successful, earning a huge amount of money, and have enjoyed that, but have done things like, well, this is for my family. I want to buy a house with this. So I'm now bought my house. I'm now renovating my house to build a future for my family. So I think, but there are, of course, still those that are really driven with the materialistic things. But I think you go behind the materialism and you look at things like growth, impact, development. It's what it represents in the end now. I think people are way more attuned to, well, what is it that this represents, rather than it just being this material thing that I can own. Because in the end, like he says, Marshall Goldsmith says, you happen. It wears off. You get this new thing, and it's like a kid with their
I've
Christmas
100% experienced that myself, and it's funny because there's certain things that I've outside in, I've probably still got some nice material things, but I've certainly feel like I've grown up quite a lot in the last 5 to 10 years. It's it's quite a quick hit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. It's a dopamine hit, isn't it?
It's a quick hit, and it wears off, and what's it really worth in the grand scheme? Interesting. And you've gone on to have a great leadership career, haven't you, since as well?
Yeah. So I left in, when was it, 2012. So leadership went well, let's say, at S3. I wanted to live abroad. We wanted to live abroad as a family, so we had the goal to move abroad. So the opportunity came up to move to Moria Bond, and I started from scratch. I literally started with a desk and a phone, and with the goal and the vision to build out a new team, new division, and this is where I said there was a bit of transference, I think, from these days of the conditioning that we had, and you will have, I'm sure, experienced this with starting your own businesses. You have expectations, but it never goes quite according to plan. So I built up the team there very quickly. Was doing teams in different offices. So I was traveling around Europe, and all that was great. But it was a hard gig to get these teams set up, especially going to across between Germany and Netherlands, and in the end, the business I landed on around 2016 was set up an engineering contract division. So I'd never done contract before, but as a business we were extremely strong and still are very strong at contract recruitment. We've got a very successful exec search division as well, but contract was really the specialism. And I have to say, going to work there, if you talk about these elements of purpose, things like that, the purpose of that business has always been progressing lives. So even when they founded it, Nick, Dan and Gareth, in 2006, with their own income, they made loads of sacrifices to found it. They've always had a purpose of progressing lives. So giving anyone the opportunity that comes to join the business, that opportunity to really go on and progress your life without limits. And so that I started to tune into purpose around about 2016, because the leadership and business building was going well. The contract team was going well. It's 2017 now. The contract team was going well. We got it moving in the right direction, but I still wasn't where I planned to be. You write down your goals of being a director. I think it was a guy that did a TV program over here. I can't remember his name. I went to see him in Birmingham. Steve somebody did a weight loss program, and he also did coaching sessions. So he did some work with me. We did some hypnotherapy goal setting sessions, because it was all about becoming a sales director. Got to be a sales director. Got to be a sales director. That was my vision. And when you don't quite get there, again, it starts to really affect you, and you have heightened expectations. So around about 2017, I'd hit that going well, but it was a new team I'd started. So it was a new team, having been there for 5 years, and I just needed a different way of looking at things. And I've been working with a guy called David Warner, again, interconnected collaboration, fantastic coach. If you've ever heard of Chimp Paradox, he was part of that. So he was Steve Peters' number 2. Fantastic guy. I did coaching with him, and again, big kudos to Moria Bond for allowing us to have coaching with these guys. And he was teaching me, look, you're wired. Money equals success equals happiness. He said, you got it the wrong way around. Happiness equals success equals money. Get the happiness bit right, the success will follow, the money will hopefully follow after that. So I started working on that. Then I read a book called Peak Performance, which is about essentially being in a peak performance state of work. And they have an acronym, stress plus rest equals growth. So it's a great book to read. In that book was a section on purpose. And I remember I was riding my bike to work. It was a sunny September morning, 2017. I started listening to this chapter on purpose. I thought, yeah, this is the way forward. This is what I need to focus on. I focus on having a clearly defined, what's known as a self-transcending purpose. So you are doing it for others. It's fine to have your own purpose. Now, don't get me wrong. Someone might just have their own purpose, and that's totally fine. But when you self-transcend, that's really when you're out of any kind of zone of results. And I was just focusing on helping others improve, helping others unleash more of their potential. And that progressing, and it played right into progressing lives. And really that's our number one measure of success as a business is how many lives we progress, whether it's internally, candidates, clients, charity work. And additionally to that, I was focusing on, well, let's just try and send people home each day having had a good day, feeling productive, feeling like they've improved. And again, working with consultants at the time, and I'd never seen this before, there was 3 or 4 of them that weren't money driven, that were wanting to build a great business to be, the trusted advisor to their clients, or the guy, as I said, that wanted to change lives. They were the most successful people in the team. So that led me then into that area of purpose, and that's where I've tried to stay ever since. And actually, funnily enough, 16 to now, that was my most transformative period anyway. Built up the biggest business that I'd ever been involved in, hyper growth at times, amazing accounts. So by rewiring myself, and it wasn't overnight. I started working on that in 2013. So it took me 4 or 5 years to rewire my brain and look at what was more important. Obviously, then kids start coming along as well, and family grows, and you realise, what, like you said before, what's more important.
Are you trying to come at that from like mainly a selfless perspective, where you're trying to help others? You mentioned a few times there.
Yeah.
And give. What can you give rather than what you can kind of take? Is that kind of the approach to that, is it?
Yeah, because there's a couple of points. One, if you do that, then again, what I found is it was taking me away from being caught up in results, budgets. Yeah. These things are important. They are measures of a successful business, but I was finding that was taking care of itself more.
Yeah.
The other thing is, we'll talk about the book in a bit. One of the exercises in the book is to uncover your values, and knowing what your values are, really uncovering them and defining them is a massive benefit for a number of reasons. But for me, I realised one of mine is interconnected collaboration. So all about collaborating with people, whether it's in the team, whether it's with customers, in any walk of life. If I can collaborate on things, this is an amazing experience in itself. That's the journey it took me on, and that for me it worked. It doesn't work for everybody, obviously, but for me that was really the formula I found. That I thought this is how I navigate the inevitably challenging times of leadership. And leadership in sales is leadership on steroids, isn't it? So that's how I managed to. I think to get my career to the place I'd always envisaged I wanted it to go to.
That's awesome, man. Let's bring the book in then, because we've said the book about 5 times now.
So what's
what
the
is
book
it?
about?
How did it?
What the hell is going on with this book?
Yeah, what?
So with regards to purpose, we're at 2017 now. So I realised the benefit this was having on me. We were doing a lot of work around progressing lives in the company, and I thought, why not coach people that come to the team? The team wasn't so big at the time; it was double figures. And again, like I said, you've got people coming into the workplace that want more. They want more from their experience. They don't just want to come in for a paycheck or big bonuses. Many people want to come in to do something bigger than themselves. And I saw that taking place. So anyone that joined the team, I started the exercises that I'd done on myself, started doing on them. So they would leave this coaching exercise with more clarity on what their purpose was, their values are, etc., etc. And it got really good feedback. And I remember COVID hit. And for me, COVID was challenging, but I was at home with the family, so you always had the family to fall back on. But we had people that were locked away in a bedroom trying to recruit in a market that's just tanked, and that's not fun. And so I had people coming to me from other teams going, I've heard about your coaching course. Can you do that for me? And I would say to them, look, because they'd say I'm struggling with motivation, things like that. And I'd say, okay, I can't fix your motivation, but what I can do with the coaching is I can help you uncover what you value most in the world, what you're getting out of bed to come to work for. So I can help you put you on the right path. I think will get you to where you want to go. And then I thought, well, we have an online learning platform. So I thought, well, I have got some time on my hands because I'm locked down, working at home. Kids are in bed. I'm going to work on putting it on the platform. So I turned it into a video coaching process. And then I thought, you see on this period in time, everyone was going after online video courses. They're everywhere. You know, you see them all, masterclass and that sort of thing. Now you see them online. I thought, well, why not? Why don't I try and turn it into an online video course? So it's a bit of a project, and had a business partner. We'd recorded everything, scripts ready to go, but it died a death, and a number of reasons. Family was getting bigger, work was getting busier and busier. It just lay dormant. So it lay dormant until midway through last year, and I started really, as most of us have, getting swept up in the AI tidal wave, and you start seeing things online, which is stuff like build an app in 5 minutes and this sort of thing. So I was sucked into this, started researching it, and actually it turns out I couldn't really build an app for this coaching process in 5 minutes for less than 10 grand or whatever it was. So I thought, okay, that's not for me. But I, as I said to you guys earlier on, I started working last year a lot on manifesting and visualizing and really understanding a bit more about, where I want to go, what I want to get out of, the next years of my life. And I just woke up one morning and thought, why don't I just turn it into a book? Because there are AI platforms out there you can use. So I got all the manuscripts, started editing them into text, ran them, used an AI platform, and I turned it into a book. And then the final thing I'll say about it, the book was originally about...
What's it called?
It's called The Meaning Manifesto. So the idea about building a life of meaning, talks about purpose and values, those exercises are in there. And that it was going to be called The Meaning Manifesto, but then I bring David Warner back in again. I was on the phone to him. He kindly wrote the foreword for the book. And I was on the phone to him in November last year, and he said, look, if you're going to publish a book, it needs to solve people's problems. And I said, okay, well, let me position it like this to you. I've just done one of the exercises again in the book, which is called The 95-Year-Old You. And I know, as a result of doing that exercise, I've got X amount of days left on this planet, and I know exactly how I want to spend them. And by doing that, by going through this process in the book, then the readers will be able to take steps towards designing the kind of life they want to live and not the kind of life that they might be stuck in, any stage of life. And he said, that sounds great. Have you considered the topic of health span? And I'd never heard of this topic of health span. And what health span is, so we have lifespan, okay, which is how long we're going to live. And statistically, that, of course, is going up. But actually, what health span is the number of years you will live a healthy life. And whilst lifespan has gone up, we're not living those years longer in a healthier state. Actually, we're living those years longer in an unhealthy state. I think Peter Attia calls it the decade of decline or something. So the last decade of our lives, we are in decline statistically. Most people are going to have chronic illnesses. As I said, they're going to be in a complete state of decline. And he said, what your book will enable people to do, the problem it will solve, it will help them extend their health span. So health span kind of became we talk about purpose, it kind of became the why of the book. The more the book, the more I can help people not only design a life that they want to live, however, whatever stage they're at with that. Maybe they're really happy but want to go to the next level. Maybe they're not happy with the direction. David Warner talks a lot about the people he worked with, very successful businessmen, and this plays a little bit to what you were saying earlier, Greg. He worked with a lot of really successful business people that got to retirement age and gone, I've been really successful. The hell was all this for? I've got absolutely no direction. don't know where I'm going to go.
Those people typically.
Well, there's an interesting stat. I can't quote where it came from, but I remember reading this because I told my dad about it. My dad, wasn't an overly wealthy man or anything, but he had a final salary pension, and at 56 was told, right, you've got your full 60th, you've maxed your pension, you may as well retire. And I read something that said that men, men in particular, the stat was higher. So men that retire between the age of 55 and 65 was something crazy like 70 or 80% more likely to have a heart attack than men that carry on working. And there's no medical reason for that other than they've got no purpose. Their purpose was keep going to work. Maybe that's linked to that health span you're talking about, right? So they've got to, put one foot in front of the other, get up in the morning, go to work, whereas these men were having these men that had were successful, i.e. they were financially independent, could retire, they were statistically way higher chance of having a heart attack and therefore dying early than the men that were working. I don't know, that's kind of linked to that, I guess, in many ways.
Absolutely. More than heart attacks, though. It'll be general health. Cognitive function.
This one was particularly, as I said, heart attack was the end result, but I'm sure all of that played into that.
Yeah.
The stats on purpose are unbelievable. So I became a bit of a purpose nut, let's say, for a few years, and there's some great books on it, and podcasts, and all sorts of things. I'll just play back a few. You are, like you talked about, your stress levels go down. So if you have a clearly defined purpose, your stress levels go down. You build better habits. You'll sustain your healthy habits for longer. There's another one which I'm trying to, relationships. So you deepen your relationships, and deep and meaningful relationships have been shown to be one of the biggest predictors of longevity. Actually, loneliness is one study showed loneliness is a bigger killer than smoking. So when you lose a sense of direction, a sense of purpose, you can see why that plays out, right? And even if you don't really know what that purpose is, when you're working there, you have a purpose, right? You provide for your family. So when that goes, that absolutely makes sense. But there's loads of statistics around it, and ultimately it's free, right? It's not something you've got to go to a pharmacist for and buy off the shelf. It's to work on getting and covering a purpose. It's free. You can just go through some exercises in the book.
Cool. On that note, do you want to take Greg through one of your exercises?
Yeah, let's do that. So I want to.
I'm nervous here.
Yeah, let's do.
This has not been pre-practiced.
So, no, and look, what I'm going to just do is speak to the recruiters watching this, because what I found purpose can be. You've got motivation, like we talked about. You've got the external motivator, so the money, the promotions, the results, etc. Difficult to sustain over a long period of time, and that would motivation will go up and down. What we see with purpose is, if you use the analogy, you're climbing up a mountain with a rucksack on your back. It lightens your load. It makes it easier to get up that mountain, because we all know recruitment can be the best job in the world one day, and the worst. In fact, on the same day, it can be the best and worst job in the world within hours and minutes of it. And some people can navigate that quite easily, but others find that challenging. If you've got a clearly defined sense of purpose, then results can be transformed. I'm going to give you two examples before we dive into
your emotions will be less up and down. You're
more resilient, you're more persistent,
stable.
Yeah, because you know why you're coming back next day. Look, purpose can unlock some unbelievable performance, because our brains will give up before our bodies can. Right? I'm going to give you two examples before we dive into this. One story I feature in the book, another one I read about recently. So story number one, just have a guess. What do you think the world deadlift, and I don't know the exact number, but the world record for deadlifting, what do you think it is in kilograms?
Which is the deadlift where you hold it that way?
Yeah, you go like that.
It's got to be several hundred kilos, isn't it? It's got to be 400 kilos.
That's not bad. I think it's about 500. Right? How much does a Volkswagen Passat weigh, do you think, in kilograms?
About
800?
Like 1,200.
Nearly 1,300. So America, can't remember the town, Zach Clark, 16-year-old high school footballer, hears a scream from his neighbour's driveway. His neighbour is fixing his Volkswagen Passat, and the handbrakes failed and he's rolled on top of him. Zach Clark lifted that car off of the neighbour. Now, it's the front of the car, so it doesn't weigh the full 1,300. But even if you do that, I was playing around with this earlier, it's about 800 kilograms. So how did a 16-year-old kid lift a car off somebody? And the doctor said that saved his life. If he hadn't have done that, the guy managed to roll out. Hadn't have done it, he would have died, right? This is what's going through Zach's mind.
Nobody's told him he can't do it.
Exactly. He's got a why. He's got a serious why. The other thing that was playing in his head, his dad had died the year before. So in his head, he was saying, I am not going to let this guy's kids have no dad.
Yeah.
And that, if you can tap into... now, obviously, you're going to turn up to do a sales job each day. It might be a little bit different than saving someone's life, but it ain't that far off. If you look at the business you set up with neuromodulation and the spinal injuries, things like that, there's a clearly defined purpose in that. The other one, more recent, and I show these stories to my kids because I think they're great for, when you're tired on a football pitch, Zach Clark lifts the car off someone, keep running, you'll be fine. Your brain's just telling you to slow down. So I'm not a tiger dad, but I do like sharing the stories. The other one, this guy's name is brilliant, Austin Appleby, right? There's him and his family were on bodyboards somewhere in Australia, I think near Perth last year.
Oh, I read about this.
They got swept out to sea.
He swims back.
He swam 4 kilometres in shark-infested. He's a 13-year-old kid. He swam 4 kilometres in shark-infested waters. He took off his life jacket to swim faster, and he was saying to himself while swimming, "Not today, not today, not today." And I don't know many 13-year-olds that would get in the pool and be able to swim, 4 kilometres. And then he ran 2 kilometres to find a phone, saved his family. So that illustrates the point that when you've uncovered what really matters to you, and hopefully you're looking at self-transcending, so it's for others, that's the point I was showing earlier. Yeah. It can do incredible things for your performance. Because again, you're not focusing on what deals am I getting in today, you're focusing on who am I going to impact today.
Yeah.
So there's a quick way someone can do it. So if someone is watching this now going, I don't know what my why is, one, okay, buy the book, I'll help you. But you can ask this question.
Good plug that. That's a great plug.
Shameless plug. Get it in there.
That is. We'll get some animation on the video when it goes out.
Like is that my little thing?
Little arrow going down to like
shameless plug over his head. So, Greg, apart from an alarm clock, any pets you have, obviously you've got 3 kids and missus, maybe builders down the road or something. So apart from any external factors, what got you out of bed this morning?
So we're filming 3 episodes of the pod today, and I really enjoy the people that we get on, self included, and the subjects we talk about, because since we started the pod, which was a bit of a passion project, I've had various WhatsApps, LinkedIn messages of people saying, great pod, really love it. Some of the episodes, we did one on mental health, and somebody completely outside of the recruitment sector messaged me saying that's really, been really helpful. I get other messages at the bantery end, but one of my mates always says the most shameless thing in my life is, my guilty pleasure is listening to your pod whilst I'm running on the treadmill at the gym. But like,
he's not even in recruitment, is he?
Yeah, no. So it's like that does, that's got me out of bed. And this afternoon I've got a few hours with Jocks talking about what RFC 2.0 is going to look like. That's got me out of bed today. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. I'll go one level deeper if that's all right. Yeah. What is it about? You allude to a little bit with the podcast, but the RFC piece, what is it about that gets you out of bed or gives you meaning and fulfillment?
That probably is a bit management speaky, but like I've had that North Star since I started about the business. Like I love the idea of being able to help people become the version of them they want to be. So giving them the opportunity to become an entrepreneur with some support and not ripping them off when they probably didn't think or couldn't do it on their own. That is what motivates me about RFC, and I don't think that'll ever really change.
Amazing. There you go. It's all someone has to do, and it's not. Look, they might not get it straight away, but if you keep working on it, we hope that most people that come into sales have an intention in recruitment, have an intention about what they want to get out of it.
Yeah.
It can be developed and uncovered over time, particularly if you look at things like goal setting, looking at your values, and it will evolve over time. But you've articulated it brilliantly.
It's interesting in recruitment, and I think we were talking offline about this. So like, I had a moment probably towards my late 20s where the money I was earning stopped. Like it really did stop motivating me. And I had to sort of think about, right, well, do I change career at this point? It was when I left before I started my business, before I left the one previous. I was thinking, do I go and start my own? Do I go and do something different? But actually, I do really enjoy. And there's so many people out there that recruitment bash, right? I really enjoy placing people.
Yeah.
I enjoy. There's a guy started in a job yesterday, right? Who, I got him a near 50 grand salary increase.
It changed his life.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
Right. The people that are now paying him that aren't getting ripped off because he's just now earning what he's worth in the market. But I've enabled that, and I found him at a point where he wasn't looking. and I've taken him from one place, and I know I've changed his life.
Yeah.
And I know I've played my part in that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've operated that way for over the last 10 years. I've ironically probably been a worse biller than I'd been in the 10 years previous. But I think I'm a better recruiter. And I'm actually, on a deep level, didn't expect to talk about, I'm probably now proud of the professional I am in my space. Whereas I look back on the first 10 years of my career, probably less so, but I'm kind of comfortable with that first 10 years, because if I didn't do the hard yards, if I wasn't money focused, if I didn't go after everybody's target, want to knock your team off the table and all that, I'd have never been able to get on a soapbox to say what I'm saying to you now, right? But certainly that last 10 years of my career, the deals now, they just facilitate my life. They're not what I go to work for, if that makes sense. It's not a paycheck, it's not a commission. It's a different way of thinking. I think that links into your
absolutely
purpose piece.
Yeah.
Because without that, I know for a fact, if I was just still working on hit a sales target, hit a commission, I don't think I'd stay in the game. It doesn't drive me anymore.
You hear it, don't you? Senior consultant, principal consultant comes to you, goes, I'm not motivated anymore. I don't know, I don't get a kick out of doing deals anymore, and it dips. But if you've got that, that recognition of what you do and the contribution you make. We had a similar one as you were talking. It came to my mind. We did an interim engagement in a factory that was about to be shut down. We put an ops director in there, and he turned it around. And that plant was about to be shut down. So 250 people would have lost their jobs. Yeah. Would they have got a job somewhere else? Who knows? And the levels of absenteeism were huge. So if you imagine that, shop floor workers, they're sat at home. What are they probably doing sat at home? It's inevitable, right? And they turn that around and they reduce the absenteeism to the lowest level it's ever been. And you look at that and go, we did that. We made that contribution. We found that guy we put in there. Yeah. And that means more than one deal. To actually have that impact on people, it's massive. And you can, as I said, you can look for it, you can learn it. It's all available. You have to make a choice to position yourself in that way.
Anything else you want to talk about in regard to the book before we wrap up?
I think what I would say about my favourite exercise of the book, we'll just do it very quickly, is it's called the 95-year-old you. So that's the kicker. That's how it all starts off. And what that does is it enables you to really get clear on what you want out of life. So again, it plays into, if you're starting your own business, if you're going into recruitment, if you're starting your own recruitment business, plays in, you can play it back and really use that as I think Stephen Covey talked about start with the end in mind. I think it was him. So we'll go with Greg again because he did so well in the first one. So there's two things to end then. So I'm going to do a 95-year-old you, and I'm going to do a little bit of a plug as to why to buy the book. So let's just imagine you get to 95, right? So you're 95.
No chance.
This is what we said you should do. You'll get there quicker, and you'll probably get there. You're about to take your last breath, right? You close your eyes if you want, make it all spiritual. Yeah. What advice would the 95-year-old you give the you of today in terms of how you want to live your life going forward? What are some of the things you want to strive for, stand for? How do you want to be as a person? What message would it give to you? He could give to you, not it.
I think probably tell me to keep chasing my vision and don't let the external pressures of having a young family and all that comes with that deter you from that vision. I'm probably in a place at the minute, or I've been over the last year, where it's like outgoings have never been so high. Yeah. Market is just kicking me in the bollocks around every corner. And got my business, got RFC and the businesses that sit within that, and you kind of think, right, there's no real reward for this at the minute. It's just graft. But I think 95-year-old me would say you set yourself on a course that was, to your point, backed by a purpose. It's got a vision. It's not just about making short-term cash. So it's natural that you're going to go through a period where it's not all roses in the garden. So is the vision and purpose still aligned to where you want to be? And if so, keep following it. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's an amazing answer. What do you reckon?
Very good.
Yeah. Weren't scripted either. No.
That's why it works so well.
That's a good question, that is. It is a really good question. And I'll probably go over.
He will think about it more.
I'll reflect
big time on
I'll
that.
message you in a couple of days saying I ain't fucking slept yet.
But look, it's an amazing look. You've got your vision. You can have both. Yeah. You can have successful businesses in a thriving family life. I have certain non-negotiables around that, and I rarely miss one of the football matches or go to events at the school. We can do that more in the modern world, remote work and stuff. But I rarely. Yeah, that is a bedrock for me. The week's a bit different, but I still even in the week can go do that.
But tell us about the book then. Where are we going to get the book? When's it launching? Where can we buy it from? Let's plug away, mate.
What's our commission?
So,
80-20.
Well,
it's the oldest. It's the oldest fee split in the book, isn't it?
Obviously, I'm going for digital so far. So I've got a wonderful designer working on it. She's doing an amazing job because I've got it to a point where I was working on it with AI and she looked at some of the images and said, actually, look, that's quite good, but that guy's got 6 fingers or that woman's got 3 legs. You've not quite seen those images, spotted it. So she's doing a great job of it. I'm hoping to publish it end of the month. Anyone wants to buy it, they can email me. We'll put an email on the link. So we're going digital. I may go print copy, depends how easy it is. May even then go to an app. I would do one plug on it. There's a story in the book about 4 years ago, almost now to the week, when the terrible war in Ukraine broke out. This is a great example of self-transcendence, and there's a massive nod to my daughter in this. When it broke out, the news came on the kids' news in the Netherlands. She turned around and said, I want to invite some Ukrainians to come live with us. So we invited mother and daughter, Victoria and Dominica, to come live with us, and that has been again formed part of my purposes. They are our family now, and off that, that what your kids teach. It's what your kids teach, isn't it?
Yeah.
Self-transcendence, do things for others. They came to live with us, taught us so many things about how to live a more meaningful life. Again, without these material possessions, etc. So they're our family. So what I've decided to do is any profit from it, I'll donate 20% to a charity linked to the Ukraine war. So you can have a bit of a kicker on top of that. So there's another why behind
mate.
it.
That's
it's the least I can do. And so it gave it a bit more purpose as well. So it will be available. It's going to be published, hopefully, as I said, April. Email me for a pre-order. Hopefully it's had a lot of good feedback, that process.
All the best with it, mate. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having me on to plug it shamelessly.
Great guest, great content. Yeah, a lot of thought-provoking stuff there, mate.
Were you nervous before I come on? What was he going to talk? What the hell's he going to talk about?
He'll be all right, won't it?
Be all right.
No, look, you guys are doing amazing. This podcast.
We've known each other long enough. I think we know what to expect. But no, you're doing some really cool stuff there.
So back at you. They're really inspiring. And keep going with that vision. You guys will get there. I know you will. You're already on the way there. Inspiring.
It's a rocky road.
Always is, mate.
Cheers.
See you, mate.
Thanks for listening to the Recruitment Founders Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on your favourite podcast platform or YouTube so you never miss an episode. Connect with us on LinkedIn to join our community of founders and mentors, or visit our website to learn more about how we can help you launch, grow, and thrive in your recruitment business.